It's the foreheads. We're in our rooms and we're talking about AI.
Welcome back, everyone, to the greatest disaster on the internet. It's the Foreheads Podcast. You got Goldenboy alongside with Sideshow, Bren, and Reinforce, and we're here to talk about all the things that you maybe don't care about, but we're going to talk about whatever we want anyway because it's our podcast and no one can stop us. So
maybe somebody should have tried, but nobody's managed to.
There was an attempt.
I should have brought this up before we start recording.
Why?
Because I just saw a bunch of comments on the latest YouTube video.
Okay.
Saying the volume's very low. So I don't know if is it.
Well, I got different sound settings now.
Yeah.
Josh is recording and I'm not recording. So
we just like to mix it up every week. Oh, mate, who knows? Change your sound settings however you like. That's how the people want it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my mic levels on my Go XLR, and it looks good. It's like
you sound great.
Almost at the top.
You sound great.
I think one of the problems I faced when I was recording was that I unknowingly had my incoming Discord sound on 60%. And I was like, I got 100% in Windows, and like it looks fine on OBS, but for some reason everyone's quiet.
You are a tech boomer. I've realized.
And it's crazy because you're young and you should know these things, but you don't.
Sound is just a bastard. Sound
is a bastard. Yeah,
that's actually true.
Hard to get working.
Yep.
So before we jump into anything, we did have a review that I wanted to read. If you want to leave us a review, rate and review on Apple Podcasts, we would love to hear it and read it. We'll love to read it, and then we'll read it to you guys so that you all hear it. There you go. Words work. So yeah, feel free to share. We'd love to see it. Also, comment on the YouTube. I have I comment on the YouTubes. I have a thing to share there in a little bit. But also, let's talk about this one. Go ahead, Bren.
Just gonna say apologies that the episode is late. Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. So I'm having a mushroom soup that my roommate made me.
Oh, really?
Really good.
I thought you were going down the psilocybin path, and I was like,
no. I'm not having mushrooms. Not today. Not today. But that actually would be a good story for another podcast. Anyway, I fought a tree. So Bren is amazing, and everyone else is okay. This is from Breb. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing his name.
Account.
I think it's your alt. It says, "All right, boys, I'm actually one of the few women who is here for it all. To be clear, I'm here for Bren's rebellion against the ant situation.
Mm-hmm.
Even with his blonde-tipped ridiculousness, he can thirst trap me any day. And I love his acceptance of anxiety and depression. Hey, handsome, how about it are you? The thirst trap worked. Come see about me. Winky face." I don't even know what any of that. What is thirst trap?
What's the nickname? Is it like? Wait, you don't know what's? Wait. Say that again.
I don't know what this is. I've been married for 12 years, and I've been together or 11, whatever, and then I've been together with my wife, my roommate, for 13. So
dude, it took like 5 minutes.
I don't know these things. I'm telling you, like I've been in a long-term relationship. I don't know this stuff.
A thirst trap is, but you don't need to be. When you get married, you don't have to ignore just outside information from the internet.
Yes,
you don't have to suddenly. No.
Oh, child! When you get married, you'll learn.
Is it? Oh, I've got a dream to tell you. The thirst trap is posting on social media that is intended to attract attention, oftentimes with a sexual connotation. Thirst refers to being desperate for a certain thing.
You're reading a definition on Google.
Attention.
That's like the most boomer thing. Yeah. That's what I would do.
But I don't know how best to describe it. But basically, I post a lot of workout progression shit on my Instagram because one, I don't go outside. I got nothing to post, and two, thirst trapping gets likes.
Yeah,
so, you know,
thirst trapping is
got to build up social media.
You're trying to bait the thirsty people into commenting on your thing, right? Mm-hmm. You're like trying to, and you managed. You roped one in, Bren.
Yep.
Well, you did it. You got me to read it out loud in our podcast.
I got a fan for life.
Never fan for life.
Goldenboy.
Also, there was a comment on YouTube from Aiden Broom that I wanted to share because I found this to be particularly incredible. This person tries to like act like they know me, and I don't like this. So it says the Golden Boy. By the way, misspelled Golden Boy. So come on, dude.
Wait, how do you do that?
Put a gap in there. Come on, dog.
Oh.
The Golden Boy story format, quote unquote. As you guys know, detail about Golden Boy's past, famous people names. Oh, and by the way, then apparently brackets Twitch, Cynthia, or something about consoles. Like interruption. One more side note. So that's my thing. And in brackets again, thing the story was about. Story. So I don't talk like that. Okay. Yes, you guys know I don't talk like that. Okay. And by the way, just because I want to talk about my loving relationship doesn't make me a bad person. You know,
it's
I'm tired of it. And one more side note. I'll let you know right now. Okay. That I appreciate the constructive criticism. That's basically my story.
You sound like a Karen just then. I'll have you know.
Oh,
I do not sound like that.
In Spanish, it'd be Karen. You know, that's how it would be. Karen. Karen. Stop. You know, you got to say it like that. Karen. Yeah. So shout out to our amazing viewers and listeners. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it. I know I have a tendency to ramble in different directions.
Yeah.
And talk about my wife.
But isn't that the podcast?
Yeah.
Isn't that what the podcast is about?
And also stories from like Jamaica and shit, they were gold.
But also, I think you have a particularly good story to tell this episode as well, don't you, Alex? I don't know whether you want to get to it now, but I am personally very interested to know what the hell happened to you this week. Because I only saw fragments of it on Twitter, and I haven't asked you because I know that you were going to tell it. Yeah.
Okay, so some of you may know, I have talked about this a few times. I hate flying. And the reason why I hate flying, which I work in the completely wrong profession,
I did not expect this to be the intro.
I hate being in enclosed spaces. So last week I got trapped in an elevator. No, I'm not claustrophobic because that would be disingenuous to those who are actually claustrophobic and suffer from like anxiety. I just personally don't like it. Like it's just not a thing. Like I don't get like.
I mean, you may be
nervous.
Claustrophobic.
Maybe, but it's
you
not.
Don't perceive the real bad negative effects of like I don't know. I mean, if you just have a dislike for it, it's like I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like saying like I'm not arachnophobic because I just don't like spiders. That doesn't mean that I'm arachnophobic and like the view of spiders.
Yeah,
freaks
I
me
can
out.
see that. That's true, actually.
Well, I think you're just applying the phobic to people who are like deathly crippled by the things, right?
Isn't that like literally what it is, though? Like,
is it? I don't know. Josh was the almost doctor.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether do you mean the medical definition of a phobia? I don't know.
Is it a phobia crippling, or can you just have a little bit?
I think a phobia is supposed to be just the meaning of it just means a fear of it. I think when it's used medically, then it tends to be like if you would only receive some kind of help for it if it hurt your life in some meaningful way.
Yeah, but like you can still be like scared of small spaces, but for some people it's just like so severe it's like world changing.
Oh
like
yeah, for sure.
Like,
I used to have, sorry to derail this, I used to have a phobia of being sick or throwing up.
Really?
And I soon got over
that.
I don't think that's a phobia of throwing up.
What do you mean a phobia?
Like, as in, I would fucking have anxiety attacks if I thought I was going to throw up.
Oh.
And I got really bad about it. Like, when I was sick, when I was a kid, I used to hate being sick because I hate being ill because of the prospect, the potential of me throwing up. But eventually I got over that after a lot of Jaeger bombs and a couple of beverages with the boys.
Sorry for derailing this further. But don't you guys, don't you have that feeling like after you throw up that like you feel better because of it?
No, sometimes. I mean, it depends how ill you are, I think. If you're really ill and you stay nauseous afterwards, it just feels like it's never ending.
Because I'm the guy who's like, if I feel really bad, I'm almost like excited for it because I can get it out of the way and then I can feel better.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you now. But when back then, I didn't have that mentality. But nowadays, if I'm going to bed and the room's spinning, man knows that my knees are going to be hitting those tiles and the fingers going down my neck because I want to be getting to sleep.
Oh
no,
my
I
God.
can see that. You know, like some people, they're like, oh, we're doing a juice cleanse this week because it's like, oh, you know, we're gonna buy juices. You know, it's healthy. We get all the stuff in our bodies. I'm like, there's easier and cheaper ways to do a cleanse, and I know how. Let me show you.
No, don't do no, Johnny.
Terrible.
That's an awful idea. I mean,
just because it's your birthday doesn't mean you get to have horrible takes.
That's how people like burn the whole of the inside of their throat and shit.
Yeah. It's actually dangerous.
It's really bad for you.
Yeah.
But when you're wankered in bed and you're like, oh,
Jesus.
I thought there was something else coming.
I thought you were saying when you're wanking in bed. I'm like, if you're wanking in bed and you're throwing up, I mean, you got a problem there, dude. You gotta one or the other. Pick
That's
first.
my phobia.
You ever been so flexible you threw up while wanking in bed?
But when you're rolling around, you know, when you know you're not gonna get to sleep because you're probably gonna piss yourself or throw up at some point, like, I gotta get this over with, dude.
Bro, how fucked up do you get?
Well, recently not as much, but when I used to drink a lot before the great quarantine of 2020, sometimes I was like, listen, we're gonna get this over with, Brain, and I would just get it over with, and I feel better.
Yeah, I don't mind it that much.
Tactical chunder.
Tactical chunder.
I do have a problem with throwing up. Like, I try my best to hold it in. Mostly because when I went to Peru, I got food poisoning. And
some poor bastard is eating. It's like, move the fuck on.
Let me go ahead and sit down and eat this delicious slop while I'm watching the foreheads. I feel so bad for you. Sorry.
Go on.
Anyway, I got really sick in Peru, and dude, it was like everywhere. And this is the smallest time before we get to the elevator real fast. I would just say this. I'll just say this. This was recently. We went to go see my roommate's family and stuff. And everyone, you know, it was great. We're having a good time. I was taking these like pills to try and like help my stomach settle. So I was like, yo, dog, I'm crushing it. I'm not getting sick. I'm good. So I'm out here just eating everything, dude. I'm going nuts. I'm having all the shit I'm not supposed to have. And then I was just getting a little too like freewheeling with coffee and like lattes and shit like that. And let me tell you, milk in Latin America, milk in South America and Central America, it hits differently. It is not the same thing as it is out here. It's thicker. Okay, Johnny, what is going on with you right now? Are you okay?
He's had one beer and he's just
Johnny's
gone.
dog Siri just yoinked his headphones off his head.
Oh yeah. All right. So basically, I had a few cups of coffee I shouldn't have. I caught a cold. Me and everyone in our family, we all went to this place called Siete Sopas, which is basically 7 soups. And they're just like a really popular soup spot in Peru. Bro, I was on this line and it happened. Oh my God, everything. Every hole. It was just
all
the directions, man. It was nuts.
Where did you go?
Oh my God.
To the bathroom in Siete Sopas. And then I came back and I tried to have my soup and I couldn't even look at the soup. Let me tell you, this is a story for another day. It's very detailed and I can get into a lot of graphic details.
God.
But for now, though, let me talk about the elevator story.
The elevator.
And one of my biggest regrets, not establishing a P corner quick enough.
Whoa!
You guys not know about the P corner? It's a joke from The Office.
No, I didn't. I thought it was serious.
The good Office, not the British one. So
get the fuck out of here.
That's offensive.
Basically, me and Cynthia hadn't ordered food in a long time. We've been cooking at home. And one day, I was just like, I really want poke. I haven't had poke in a while. It's different. We can't make it. Let's just order it. So we were looking and we found it. And, typically I would go downstairs. It's Uber Eats. They don't come up and bring it to the front door. So I went down and, went to go get it. The elevator in my building is old as shit. Like, it's not a very, modern building,
Yeah.
So because of that, even the I wish I could give you guys this picture. It's I might be able to find it. They do inspections every few months on the elevator, and I kid you not, one of the the picture I took and sent it to my boys. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna put it in our Discord. Legit looked like they had given up. Like they've given up on actually inspecting this elevator. So let's see if I can find this here. And I never really put much stock into it. I never really thought about it, but yeah. So here it is. I don't know if this has my address, so check it before anything. It might have my address. Oh yeah, it totally has my address.
Yeah, don't.
All right, well, we won't show that then.
Yeah. But I could put it on my phone here, and you guys could see it. This is like literally how the thing looks, right? Like they just stopped. They just scribbled whatever the hell and whoever the hell came by.
Just illegible script.
Illegible, yeah. For some odd reason, they thought that this was like fine. So anyway, go get the food, and it's poke and bubble tea. So we hop into the elevator, and as I'm going up to my floor, I hear it just go, boom, boom, and then it just stopped. Like literally, the sound was just like as if it was being ripped apart. Okay. And the door just went slightly open and then stopped. And at that point, I was like, this is it. I'm going to die. This is it. It's happening. So I called Cynthia right away. And I was just like, roommate, please, I need you to contact our the building super to like take care of this. So she was able to do so. The guy shows up, comes to the floor where I'm at. And then he doesn't speak English very well. And he's like, mira, amigo. Push the button and it calls the fire department. And I was like, oh, sweet, fire department. They'll be here in no time. Push the button. Person responds. The person's like, can I help you? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm stuck in this elevator. This is my address, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, you're super called earlier. Someone's on the way. And then just hung up. And I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck's going on? So then I'm trying to like get clarification on like what the hell is going on. Like, is this elevator going to fall? Is this elevator stopped? Like, what's the deal here? I'm very confused. Meanwhile, I'm in the center of this elevator and I don't move because every movement I make, that elevator is like swinging and I feel it swinging, man. I feel it swinging. Okay. So I'm freaking the fuck out here. I'm losing my mind. Meanwhile, I had this poke. Okay. I had this poke and this bubble tea.
You ate it.
No, I didn't. But the poke started to leak. No, not the poke. The bubble tea started to leak. The bag was leaking. So it looked like I actually had a pee corner because it was like all of this liquid was on the floor. And I'm freaking out now because I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, I'm like, if I die, Cynthia won't get her poke. Like, what the fuck's gonna happen? I'm feeling really bad about this whole thing. So then like time goes by and I hear nothing. No one. Cynthia comes by to check on me to see if I'm okay. And then this is where I get mad at Cynthia, by the way, because I tell her every day, charge your phone, okay? She's out in the hallway with me. We're just talking. I'm thinking that this is it. I'm going to die. It's like that scene from Star Trek where Spock and Kirk were on the opposite sides of the glass. I thought this is it.
I like how as you're telling this now, this part of the story, you're giving the side eyes looking at your door because you know that if you talk a little bit too loud,
oh no, she'll definitely.
Sylvia's gonna whoop your ass.
She knows that this isn't wrong, so that's why she's not going to dispute this.
Okay.
Because I tell her every day to charge her phone, and she didn't. And then this time around, she's literally like on her phone because she's in the hallway. Meanwhile, her husband near death. What is he going to do? But she's on her phone, and then she's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm at like 2% battery. I gotta go charge my phone." And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, this could fall at any time and you're worried about your phone not being charged. Also, why didn't you charge your phone? Like, I tell her every day anyway. So she goes to charge her phone and we just start texting. Cause if I die, if I just stop texting her, and I'm dead, then she'll get the message maybe. So then it like hours pass. The poke has now gotten substantially warm. The bubble tea continues to leak from said
Why didn't
bag.
you have it?
Yeah, why didn't you just eat it?
I was petrified. I didn't move. I was in the center of that elevator and I never moved.
You didn't sit down.
Standing in the same spot for 2 hours.
Why?
But the eating give you like the calmness of like being safe? Isn't that how the brain works?
I was so scared because if I moved, the elevator like wiggled. And
how much do you wiggle when eating?
I don't
like. You don't do body movements as you're eating.
I'm not talking about eating. I'm talking about basic movement, Johnny. Basic movement. I was just concerned about moving in the elevator because
I think you could have gone away with eating.
What? No. No. Just because it's your birthday doesn't mean you get a pass on this. All right. No.
It's not my birthday.
That's my justification for everything. Well, this is tomorrow, and we're anyway. Here's the thing. I was scared. I was petrified. I didn't want to move. 2 hours later, this guy shows up. The fire department apparently never came because the company that I called was not the fire department. That thing was the private company that manages the elevators for all the buildings in the area that have like those elevators. So the super telling me that it was the fire department was just, I don't like, he's just, why would he say that? He also never came by to see if I was okay or anything like that to like reassure me. It was just, it was just 2 hours of just thinking like this thing's gonna fall any moment. Anyway, guy shows up, actually opens the door and gets everything going. And then when I jump out of there, like the hero I am, he's like, he looks at me, he's like, yeah, man, my bad. I actually had another elevator stuck close by, and then I got stuck in traffic. And I was like, but what if I died? Like, what? Like, is there no conversation regarding like what happened to this elevator?
Let's be honest here. How many people have died from an elevator stopping work?
I don't know, and I don't want to know the stat.
I'm looking that up now because I know that it is almost impossible for an elevator to fall because of the locking mechanism. And
yeah, I think that's a movie thing.
It is definitely.
Well, you haven't seen this elevator,
but there is apparently, from what I've just managed to quickly Google, there is only one known occurrence of an elevator free falling, and
one.
Yeah, only one. The other people,
the entire world in the history of time.
I believe. Well, I mean, history of time. Elevators were only invented in the like 1900s. Well, they haven't been around for the history of time.
Yeah, that's a long time of elevators.
Elevators could have existed in a previous world.
But the most important thing for an elevator is to make sure that they can't fall, right? Like that's the whole. If you were designing an elevator, that is the #1 thing that you wanted to never, ever, ever do. So apparently this one situation in 1945, a bomber crashed into the Empire State Building and it severed the cables of 2 elevators. And an elevator on the 75th floor had a woman in it and it free fell, but she survived because there was a bunch of coiled cables underneath and it lessened the impact. So
holy crap.
Oh,
wait, sorry, it lessened the what?
Yeah, there was a load of coiled cables. You know, the cables snap, right? And the cables all fall down, and then there's like 1,000 feet of coiled cables just at the bottom, just all coiled up.
It caught her.
So it's like
didn't land on cement.
Like
she must have broken something.
Oh yeah, she probably broke something. Castle. Oh yeah, she probably was a vegetabilized mess, but she survived.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised at the amount of people that survive aeroplanes crashing as well.
I don't need to know about this at all.
No, this is not a topic I want to really discuss.
But you should always sit near the back of the plane. Your chance of success goes up dramatically. So when you're paying for that business class, you're paying
for your life to end very quickly.
a quick death, I think. Yeah.
Does it say anything about sitting by the window or sitting by the aisle?
God, what are you doing?
What you're just shattering me right now, man.
The back of the plane though is more likely to survive.
What's the?
So they should put the first class in the back of the plane then.
I'll tell you what.
Because then it wouldn't be first class, you know. Airplane accidents. So, all right, give me some percentages. All three of you. We'll go down the list. Goldenboy, what do you think the percentage of airplane accidents? The percentage of people surviving.
Oh, come on, that's a broad term. That's not crashing. Yeah, that's like the wheels coming off on landing and shit too.
Yeah, yes. So what do you think it could be?
Of people surviving?
Yes.
Or okay, 5% because those airplanes are death boxes and we shouldn't be flying in the sky. If we wanted to, we would have evolved and gotten wings.
Did you say 5?
5% people.
That's a good
5% survival rate.
Yes.
Johnny.
I mean, that is a good over-under number.
Really? That's really high. That's 1 in 20 people surviving from a plane crash.
No.
Accidents only?
5% people.
No, you're saying crashes, Sideshow, but it's not crashes, it's accidents.
It's accidents.
So, like, accidents is such a broad term.
Accident. I don't know what's considered an accident.
What is an accident?
I would say 3%.
I mean,
you're saying like 5% surviving. I'm saying that like if you get into an accident, you have a 5% chance of survival. That's what I'm saying. Because
I'm saying 3% die.
You're saying only 3% die, Johnny? Okay.
Wait,
because I think that it's so broad. I think it's so broad.
We are legit talking about different things.
Goldenboy's saying you have a 95% chance of death.
Yes,
is what you're saying, Goldenboy.
In a plane crash.
In a plane accident.
Well, it all depends on what you define accident as.
Right, let me find out.
If it's a plane crash, then I really do think 3%. That 5% seems reasonable. But yeah, I mean, what the fuck is an accident? Like an engine goes off. Like,
let me pull it up.
No, but
they managed to
like
land
a
safely.
wheel comes off.
Yeah, but I mean,
you know.
Have you ever seen the movie Alive?
No. Okay, so accidents are literally just like a crash or an engine failing or
well, I mean, even if an engine fails, it can safely land.
Yeah, yes. So what do you think is the percentage chance of survival? So like the percentage, if your plane has an accident, where an engine goes off or it crashes, what do you think the odds are that you will survive?
Percentage survival?
Yes.
I mean, it's so random. I'm just going to say 90% of survival because I'm optimistic.
I think it's a ridiculous question because if it crashes, I think the chance of survival would be incredibly low. But if you manage to land successfully because the accident isn't that bad, I think the chance is like insanely high. I feel like there's almost no situation in which a proportion of the passengers are immediately expunged from existence and the others just walk away free. And that happens so rarely.
Like every bump of cars, like if you were to add them up, the survival rate would probably be very high because most of the time when you bump into another car, it's like when you're parking or like at a stoplight. But like a death crash is severely different.
What is it then, Bren? What is the number?
Topic. The number is 95.7%.
Of people surviving?
To survive, if there's a plane accident.
Yeah.
So I think that's like literally if one of the engine goes out, like you've got like, I think So
you're saying there's a 4.3% chance I will die.
But even crashes, no, not every time you get in a plane. There's not a 4% chance you're going to die every time you get in a plane. Aeroplane travel is statistically safer than getting in a car. So you're always going to be safer flying than you are any other mode of transport.
But I'm not 20,000 feet in the air. I'm on the ground, and statistically,
in some ways, a lot more dangerous because the fucking Timmy over there who has a 40% pass rate with his driving test is for 1 second forgets the laws of the road and then forgets that he's driving a metal box at 90 miles an hour. You know, that's a lot more dangerous, I think, than a trained pilot.
Why you got to speak like you know numbers when you know that I'm afraid of these airplanes? Because
in 1972, a Serbian flight attendant named Vesna Volovic
Good name.
Fell at 33,000 feet after the plane she blew up over Czechoslovakia wedged between a catering cart, her seat, and a piece of the plane, and the body of a fellow crew member. She crashed into the snow, and she survived.
Have you ever? Do you ever have those like instinctive thoughts, like when you're in a plane, like what you would do if something happened, like mentally prepare yourself?
Johnny, I'm not moving on from this real fast. How? Did she break every bone in her body?
She was severely injured, but she survived. And a big part of it was because she had enough cushioning between the seat, whatever she was flying with. Like she had enough surrounding her to soften it, but also she landed on snow, which helps. Like if you land on snow or like soft ground.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's anything to like reduce the kinetic impact. You know what I mean?
There's also another very famous example that I remember my dad telling me about was I've just looked up her name, Julianne Koepke. I can't remember how to pronounce it. She's a German Peruvian mammologist, right? And this plane crashed, and she survived a fall of 3,000 meters, still strapped to her seat. And then when she landed, she was alone in the Amazon rainforest and had to survive for 11 days alone in order to get back to a place where she could get rescued.
Dude.
I just lick a
mental
toad and just see what happens. It's YOLO, like.
Lick a toad.
Johnny's one beer in, and he's out here. He's just ratchet.
At
I
that
like
point,
it.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though, right? Like, I mean, I'll take those odds.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I kind of want
the thing is though as well. She was a biologist who had, when she was young, learned how to survive in the Amazon rainforest. So and then she crashed and like landed inside of the Amazon rainforest, and she was able to survive based on like some stuff that she found at the crash site, and then found her way out.
Can write her graduation paper on that. Like,
how dreadful is this as well? She later learned that her mother also survived the crash, but she died of her injuries several days later.
Oh, that's terrible.
But she didn't find her mother. Dark. She couldn't find her in the crash site. Because people get scattered all over the place.
The story there,
well,
and we would have been like, "Yo, she's a badass."
I've got another incredible story about this kind of stuff as well, because I can't believe none of you have seen the movie Alive. If you haven't, you must watch it. I really feel like it's incredible.
If you have a phobia about plane crashing, apologies.
Yeah, but it's also that I think what's amazing about these films is not really the plane portion of it. It's the determination to survive in the people that are left afterwards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like this desire to stay alive, to survive. So this it's known as the miracle of the Andes, right? And it's this Uruguayan rugby team who were on a flight, and
I know about this.
I think there was like some fog or something, and they didn't really understand that they were going to crash into a mountain, and they struck a mountain, and the plane kind of tore itself into pieces. And so I think there was like 40, 50 people on board, and a bunch of people ended up being staying alive. But they were stuck in this mountain range, and the search, in the Andes. And the search was cancelled after 8 days because they couldn't find anyone. They didn't know, because they had mistakenly driven into the mountain in the first place, they didn't know whereabouts this crash would even be. And so the search was called off, and they had a radio where they could hear people talking about the crash, but they couldn't broadcast out themselves. So they just heard the fact that their search was being cancelled. They like had direct communication from people that they were giving up, and they had to deal with that mentally. 13 more of the passengers died in the next like 70 days as they slowly froze to death and starved to death, and the remaining survivors turned to eating the dead, the people that had already passed. And just the horrific nature of having to make that decision is bonkers. And there's a book about it, and then there's a whole movie about it as well. And then eventually, 2 of them went and climbed across the entire mountain range for 10 days into Chile in order to give word that people were still alive and send people back. 72 days later, 16 people were rescued from it.
72 days.
72 days of just living inside a fuselage, surrounded by just snow, slowly freezing and starving to death, surviving by eating your friends and colleagues, and 16 people survived.
Yeah, I just went to the Wikipedia and started reading about cannibalism and shit. This got bad. This is horrifying.
Yeah, absolutely horrific.
So why do I need to watch this movie? Because it just sounds like it's like you're like, if you haven't seen it, like I thought it was about the human spirit, but it's about motherfuckers eating people, dude.
But it's about the horrific. It's about these people who are pushed to the absolute brink and have to do whatever they can to survive, and how they live with themselves afterwards. There was also, I forgot about this, there was a fucking avalanche halfway through as well. They're like hanging out in the aircraft just trying to survive, and then there's an avalanche that like buries another part of the fuselage and either killed or just buried a bunch of other people as well. It was horrific.
So I think what you're saying is
oh my God,
your odds of survival to get the best odds, you just basically just need to pick a direction and walk in it.
I mean, I guess you have to know roughly where you are, I suppose. Yeah, but even if they had decided to walk at that point, I'm not sure whether they would have, made it.
Yeah, so I'm reading it right now. After the great debate, apparently they had a debate about whether or not they should.
Yeah,
eat,
whether it's
which
ethically
obviously
feasible.
makes sense. And then they said the starving passengers decide to eat the flesh of their dead relatives and friends. That line in general just sounds so
it's fucking horrifying, isn't it?
Like, dude. Now, one has to wonder though, right? Like, because I don't know what. Like, it's very clear they're in like they're at the tip of the Andes, right? So they're by where the snow is and stuff. But is there no life up there? Like, is it like there's no hunting like capabilities?
Like snow leopards.
I mean, what are you gonna hunt though? I mean, like, how are you gonna hunt? You know what I mean?
But do you think that's also just a failure of society in general that we don't know how to survive? Unless like we can't hunt, we can't gather. We're not good at this stuff. No, but like we
Andes.
It's so useless.
Hey, I'm just saying. You mean to tell me there's no hunting or gathering that can happen in the Andes? None whatsoever.
Here we go. Survivor Roberto Canessa said.
Give me that fucking look, Bren. I'm tired of your ass.
We had long since run out of the meager pickings we'd found on the plane. There was no vegetation or animal life to be found. So yeah, apparently there wasn't any. They're just so far up a mountain that there's nothing.
Fuck, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, when you get that far up, yeah.
That's crazy. But I still don't think it justifies Josh being like, this is a fascinating story.
But it really is.
Well, it is.
It is. No,
it is, but not for the reasons I was led to believe initially.
I don't know.
Why do you think it is interesting?
No, I'm not saying it's not interesting. I'm just saying, like, Josh was making it sound like it was just this story about people surviving against the odds, but like just not like, oh, we became cannibals, that's why we lived. I just wasn't expecting that, like as he was explaining it, I wasn't expecting the cannibalism
but
part.
that's almost the most
that's so awful. Like, you have to sort of acknowledge how desperate they were and how tragic that was.
For sure. I'm not like
but
also,
it's
not horrible.
That's crazy that the human mind just pushed them forwards into just survival mode.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, like it's hard to fathom you as yourself turning to that. But surely, if you were in the same position, like, that's probably what you would have turned to. And acknowledging that is just such a life-changing kind of perspective to acknowledge that you could have been in that position. It's awful.
Yeah, there's a lot of animals that cannibalize, right?
Yeah, there are. I mean, for humans specifically, there's like, I mean, I don't know about specifically, but for humans, there's also risk of prion disease. You get like
prion disease, which is the
Creutzfeldt-Jacobs.
Okay, how do you know about this?
Well, I actually know about this because there was a tribe, I think, that ate human flesh as part of like their culture or ceremonies, and they've stopped since then because it just means that you transfer prion disease super easily.
What is prion
it's like
disease?
A thing with the proteins in meat or in the muscles.
Incognito mode.
It's like
Let's go.
I think it affects something to do with your brain.
Yeah, it's to do with eating the nervous system of your own species, basically.
Yeah. So in the tribe, I think it was the women and children ate the brain, so they were the more likely ones to be infected with it. So it was like pretty one-sided in terms of the infection rate. But since 1968, I think it was, they've stopped, and the cases of the disease have just been wiped out because it only stays around if you keep eating human flesh.
That's great. But like, then how did the zombies live though?
Well, they don't exist per se. They don't really exist.
But like, no one thought about the science there, Like, that's crazy. That obviously doesn't make for like a good episode of Walking Dead. Like, the zombies have all died because they all died of prion disease. Coral, they died of prion disease. I can't imagine that being a good hook on the episode there. Well, that was a thing that we lived through. So
poor spaghetti bolognese bastard listening to this, man.
So
the guy eating is like, well, I can get over the sick, but cannibalism?
I don't know if I can get over that. But maybe they can get over Bren's Ant War updates. Bren, give us tales from the front lines. I wish we had music for this. Give us the stories.
The ants do not stop. In the summer,
they're relentless in
they've taken up refuge in the walls next to me, and
you can hear them creep at night
and plan and plot.
I have given up on poison. I have laid out a poison trap for the stragglers to take, and potentially they will take it back to the nest. But I have settled on filling in the holes with boric acid so that they can't even touch me, because I'm just sick of it, dude. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, doesn't matter how much I do to try and stop them. They are relentless. They are a Zerg. They are just an unrelenting force of nature in the world.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's enough biomass of ants beneath my feet right now to take over Rome. It is absurd. It is ridiculous. And I don't know what to say, really, other than just the war is at a stalemate.
Continues. Yeah. It could be like Fallout. War never changes.
I mean, the war is kind of I mean, I could definitely see how there's parallels between my Ant War here and World War One in terms of the trench warfare. You know, where they were at an impasse.
Right.
What I mean by that.
Right. Just a battle of attrition.
Yes. Yeah. But so I mean, essentially, what's happened since then is just every now and then I'll see 3 ants and they'll be roaming around my bathroom counter. They don't go into my room anymore because I've literally spread a perimeter of boric acid around my room.
Is anyone else in the tier 7 house dealing with this? Like, or are you the only one actively in the front lines engaging?
I'm the only one in the front lines.
Warfare, really? Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm the only one fighting them off.
You never gave me an update. What happened to the spiders? I thought the spiders were your allies. What happened to that agreement? Did the treaty not pass?
In my room, a jumping spider was here.
No, fuck that shit.
And was scaring the ever-loving shit out of me, Josh. Josh, I thought I caught it, and I thought I captured it in a piece of tissue. Turns out it jumped too fast for my eye to see. So it actually, I thought I had captured it in tissue and picked it up, and I put it in the bin, and I was like, listen, I'm not going to fuck with you. Like, I felt bad because I was like, fuck, I killed it, but whatever, it's done. Fucking 2 hours later, this motherfucker's on my mouse pad, jumping around, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" So this time I do catch it, but I don't kill it this time. I'm gentle with it. This was like some Bruce Lee shit where I was like getting a tissue, you know, like with the yeah, exactly. But I was gentle with it. I picked up the spider,
right,
and I laid it next to where the ants were, because this was at the peak of when the ants were on my bathroom counter. This is like the peak of it. And since then, the combination of boric acid closing up some of the holes, the ant poison that I've laid down on the counter, and the hunting jumping spider, which I literally pointed just in the vicinity of the many ants. Since then, there's only 3 of them. Now, a spider I haven't seen since, but I'm anticipating seeing him at some point, and he's going to be like 5 times as big because he's just been feasting on ants.
Wait. So you believe that you yourself were unable to defeat the ants, but you have 100% faith that a single jumping spider can eviscerate large quantities of ants. You don't have enough respect for your ant opponents that you think they can deal with 1 jumping spider?
They absolutely can't.
I don't know about that. Ants know how to defend themselves.
Because the ants are weakened. I have used chemical warfare to weaken them. So I've learned a lot about the biology of ants in this short amount of time where I've been going to war with them. You know, they say that in warfare you learn an appreciation of your opponents. That's what they say. Now, I've never been to war, but if I had been, I imagine that's what it's kind of like. You know, you gain an appreciation for your enemies in some way or form. Well, I've learned kind of the patterns of ants, and they send out scouts, they find food, and then the pheromones lead a trail, and they're like a primitive AI where they get a consistent trail that's safe, that they know is safe, and that's where the pack goes. But every now and then, say 1 out of 20 ants will break off and try and find a more efficient route through from the food source to their nest. Now, what I noticed is that the poison fucks with their brains a lot. So some of the ants are strong enough to carry the poison back to the nests, but some of them ingest the poison as they're bringing it back, and it just makes them go doolally, and they're jumping around in circles. Yeah, they're running around in circles. They're going crazy. The boric acid as well messes with them. They can't walk after they walk on the boric acid because I think it burns their limbs. So they're helpless essentially. So what I've essentially given the spider, I've given him a buffet. A seafood buffet unlike any other. And if he cannot take advantage of that, then he is not fit to rule my
Do spiders even eat ants?
I don't think so.
I researched this. Yes, I did.
I'm watching a documentary right now. It's Monster Bug Wars. It's jumping jack ants versus green-bellied huntsman spider. Not gonna lie, this is actually just freaking me out in a way that I'm just so uncomfortable with, and I closed it because
screw that. Do you think, Bren, there's a possibility of truce among this as you're like gaining enough respect for each other to the point where you're like, I actually feel bad for poisoning like millions of ants, and the ants have just like learned to stay away from you?
I think this is training my brain to be a psychopath.
I think so too. That's why I'm worried.
This experience.
That is what's training your brain?
Because
you're tapping into the amygdala of your brain.
Yeah.
And you're like okay with it.
I'm basically, I now only see ants as a primitive AI, and from there I have seen all animals as primitive AI until we get to slowly more advanced AI.
But then you'll be like, see humans as primitive AI too, and
we're not primitive AI. Humans are kind of like humans. I think are at the top when it comes to like artificial intelligence because it's just
a lot of animals are pretty good as well. A lot of animals are pretty smart.
Yes, no, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, I think we could probably develop an AI that would be quite similar in mannerisms to a bird. And it's not ethical to kill a bird, but people don't have the same level of ethics for shutting down that AI. So where do we draw the line?
I don't think we could. And I don't think that...
you're a psycho. You are 100% turning.
Where do we draw the line, though? What I'm calling for is AI rights. I'm not calling for the death of animals.
I think it's to do with an ability to experience suffering.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Bren has clearly already admitted that the ants are burning in acid.
But that doesn't mean that they experience suffering. Like a lot of...
Have you seen an ant like shake as it's like in pain?
No, but a lot of small insects they don't process pain. They don't know what pain is.
Really?
Yeah. They don't have it as a thing because it's not necessary for them to avoid certain stimulus. You know, like pain for us is needed because otherwise we'd go and burn ourselves and fucking lose limbs and get gangrene all over ourselves and stuff like that, right? And you'd get infections all over your body. But I think
that why? Because I don't know if that's the reason why.
I mean, why else would you have pain?
If I couldn't feel pain, I would be careful. But I know that if I got shot, like I'd be good. You know what I mean?
What? No, if you couldn't feel, what are you talking about, man?
Because like I'm afraid of the pain. You know what I mean? But like if someone just shot me and I didn't feel it, then I'd be like, oh, okay, I just got shot.
I can kind of feel that.
Yeah, and then you would die of gangrene. And then you would die.
I would take care of it. You don't think that like if you didn't have the ability to feel pain and someone shot you or something, or you got stabbed, you would know that this is a big deal.
No. Right? You know that this happens. This happens with people that have fucking leprosy is actually like a large part of it because they lose the ability to tell when like their limbs that are infected or diseased rather get like cut or something, and then it gets an infection and they don't even realize that it's been cut because they didn't have the pain response, and so then they just have gangrene and everywhere.
So there's people who are born without the pain receptors, and there's the interviews that I've read, they hate it. The kids are like, it's the worst thing ever that I was born without pain, because they have stories of them leaning against like radiators and like getting 3rd-degree burns, and like every bone in their body has been broken because of this, because they just don't feel pain. They don't have the necessary response to their mind.
So I guess what I want.
Kids.
Yeah, it's sort of like balance. It's like a balance kind of thing where like you acknowledge what to stay away from and like you know what you can do.
Pain,
but without that.
Oh boy, I'm reading a BBC article here about one of the people that has what do they call it? It's congenital insensitivity to pain. Basically, it's like that's just a description for he don't feel no pain. And
mans don't feel pain.
Yeah, it's Stefan Betz. He's 21 years old, and I'm just kind of reading through this article about it. And there's like, oh, people think it's such a superpower, not being able to feel pain. And it says, as a young child, Betz's parents initially believed he was mildly mentally retarded. We couldn't understand why he was so clumsy. He was constantly bumping into things and getting all these cuts and bruises. He said, the diagnosis of CIP eventually came when he was aged 5 and he bit off the tip of his tongue without even realizing. Oh. And shortly afterwards, he fractured his right metatarsal in his foot after jumping down a flight of stairs.
All right, let's stop. Let's stop right there.
Boy, oh
okay.
boy.
Yeah, so I think what I want is to just be Superman and be like, you know, the Man of Steel. That's what I want.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just want to be a superhero. That's but like this is not that. I do wonder though if Superman like does like they've never explored that, you know, like if he's getting shot with like or if he's like leaning on a radiator, does he burn or is he just like, good?
Well, no, he's good.
No, of course
Superman's
he burns, right?
You know, like those are the real DC. Tell me the real stories. Speaking of stories, Bren, apparently you want to share your dreams with us, which I don't feel comfortable with this, but
I got a story to tell you. I've already told it at the end of Plat Chat, but I think a lot of people probably don't watch Plat Chat, but I got to tell this dream. Like, you know, dreams just don't make sense, right? Like a lot of them, they just don't make sense.
Yeah.
So I took a bunch of melatonin. And this was to get to sleep. I say a bunch. I took 10 milligrams, which is a lot of melatonin.
That's a lot of melatonin.
It's a lot of melatonin, but I was having trouble sleeping in the lead up to the casts that we were doing this weekend. And so I took it and I went to sleep. I got knocked out eventually. And I have very vivid dreams when I take melatonin. And I dreamt, I'm going to lay out a setting for you. It's not going to make too much sense, but it's just batshit insane. But what the inner workings of the dream are the real meat of it. But at one point I was on a big shipping container, a big boat that was going through the ocean, and it was like this scene out of Half-Life where these two oceans were colliding next to me, and it was like the end of the world. There's the two oceans, one was like brown, one was black water, and they were colliding, and there was a big piping system that the shipping container was trying to fix in between, a huge like cable pipe in between these two oceans they're colliding. It didn't make much sense, but it looked cool as fuck in my dreams because it was biblical in a lot of ways. You know, it was dope. Okay. But I was walking on this shipping container and I turn around because someone's calling my name and he's calling me and he says, come over here. But he wasn't calling me in English. He was speaking to me in German because before I went to bed, I watched Dark. I was watching an episode of Dark, which is all in German. So my entire dream was in German, but it was what I perceived to be German, but I still understand it. It was like they were speaking German, but I knew what they meant, but I don't think it was actually German because I don't know German. Although
Did they actually say German words or were they made up German words?
Well, they spoke like they were speaking German, but I think it's my brain of what it perceives German to be like. Or maybe, you know, there's some people that say they wake up from comas and they speak in another language. Maybe my brain does know German subconsciously from watching all of the seasons of Dark.
I mean,
or maybe not.
Well, you say that, Bren, and that makes me think, like, there's so much knowledge that we read or like interpret or like remember like short term. And so surely we have lots of information like deep in our brain, but we're failing to like bring it up and remember it when it's actually relevant. So what you're saying is that you have a lot of German knowledge deep inside your brain that you're failing to remember as you're trying to speak German. So you cannot access that type of data. But as you were dreaming, your subconscious brought that information to your frontal lobe and actually like made you realize that you know German deep inside.
But that's nonsense, man. You don't know.
I'm a philosopher.
You can't learn.
I can say whatever the fuck I want.
You can't learn a language based on just watching a couple of episodes of Dark.
I mean, you can learn a lot though.
Like if that's the case, we would all be speaking anime now, or speaking anime. Oh my god!
Speaking anime.
Speaking anime.
I give up right now.
Wow.
Okay.
Speaking Japanese because of the amount of anime we watch. Anyway, go on.
Let me continue the story here. the guy calls me on the shipping container.
We gotta make that into a t-shirt.
Oh god.
I turn a corner and I go into the room, and he's explaining how they're under attack by the alias known as Guild Wars. I don't know why the enemy that we were fighting was called Guild Wars, but this shit was like out of like Cyberpunk or something. I don't know what it was, because I've been reading a lot of Cyberpunk recently and other stuff. Anyway, he's telling me this in German, and he's like showing me we're under attack by this guy, and he's like, you've got a mission to do, and I'm like, but I don't know if I can do it. And he's like, you got to do it. I was like, okay. And the dream kind of shifts. The dream shifts, but you know, you don't remember like how the dream shifted that way. But next thing I know, I'm with my beautiful wife.
Projecting
how was she beautiful?
Okay,
identify your beautiful wife. How did she look like?
My subconscious seems to think that my ideal woman is red hair, you know, freckles. Just I don't know. She was a beautiful woman. This is my wife.
Is this a thirst trap? Is that what this is? Is this?
No.
Okay.
Good try though, Alex.
Right,
good try.
Me. Moving on. Ignore me. Okay.
But I had a child with this woman.
Wow.
And it was so here's what happened in the dream. She came to me and she was like, I've got something to tell you. We have a kid. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I was pregnant. You've only just seen me now. Now we have a child. And my dream condensed 7 months of me raising this child. 7 months. I saw this child grow into a toddler. Into a toddler. I saw this child grow. And it triggered the part of my brain that only gets triggered. I think, you know, when people say when they have kids and they're like, yeah, it's like a happiest moment of my life. It's like I've heard it from so many fathers when they see their child for the first time. Triggers that primitive part of your brain that's just the paternal instincts. That shit got triggered in my brain, in my dream, with my imaginary child. That shit got triggered. And I was like, I got to protect this kid, you know? And I was freaking out in my dream. I was like, I'm not ready for a kid. You know, what am I going to do? I gotta save up money for my visa. I don't even have like residency in the US. Like,
what happened to the mission?
How am I going to keep up with it? Ignore the mission for now, Alex, because I'm going to get to it. Okay. This shit's going to blow your mind.
It's crazy.
This shit is going to blow your fucking mind. And I was internally having a panic attack in my dream, thinking like, how the fuck am I going to take care of this child? I was like, I don't want to be like my father where, you know, he abandoned his kids. I don't want to be like that. And in the end, I manned up and I took care of this kid for 7 months in my dreams, condensed. And I loved that child and I made sacrifices and I took care of it. And here's what happened. Here's what happened in the dream, Alex. Those chemicals that were getting triggered in my brain, those protective fucking elements that are still there, by the way, that are still there. I watched an episode of Dark I'm not going to spoil it, but there was a scene where the father ended up protecting one of his kids, and I felt fucking rage, pure rage, and empathy at that scene. Pure rage last night and empathy. And here's what happens in the dream next. I'm lying in bed, you know, the kid's there. I'm reading him a story. I'm reading her a story. And
you can't even remember the gender of your child.
There were 2 childs at some point.
Two children.
Yeah, there were 2 children. I don't know why. There were 2 children. I was reading them a story. And suddenly I'm in a field and it fades away. And the German guy who calls me behind talking about the mission comes up to me and I'm like, where's my child? Where's my child? What have you done with my child? And he says to me, it was part of the illusion. I casted magic on you and it was necessary for you to be bait for Guild Wars as part of the mission. And then that's when my dream turned into the boat was like, it was like some weird high fantasy scientific sci-fi world that I was living in, where I was part of a wizard school, but they were being hacked. It was like a future wizard school, and Guild Wars needed to come after me, and he needed to know, like, he was inside my brain somehow, and it needed to know that I had something that I was that I cared for to bait it out, to use as bait. So, like, you know, like they go after your family, like in those classic trope, the film.
Yeah,
that was what the plan was. They casted illusion magic on me to trick me into thinking that I had something I cared for so deeply, to bait it out, to succeed on the mission, to capture him. and I ended up capturing Guild Wars. And then I woke up with just an immense feeling of emptiness. Because my brain had tricked itself into triggering the paternal chemicals, and then it was just gone. How fucked up is that?
Maybe don't take melatonin anymore. I think that's the lesson of this story.
Dude, I mean, it was a cool dream.
But also, you said that you watched an episode of Dark and you were very angry at a certain scene, presumably where there was some like father and child, you know, relation or problem or something. I think that's just basic empathy. Is that what you've learned? Yeah, just empathy?
No. But go on, Johnny.
No, I was gonna agree with you that it's probably different when you like. Because I thought about this lately, and I'm not gonna go on a rant. I'm gonna let Bren continue. But I've thought about how I read so much wisdom, but I'm unable to like take action based on the wisdom until I've actually experienced the context for the wisdom. Like you learn based on your own experience, right? But it's impossible, almost impossible to prepare yourself for the moment when it comes. Like how much wisdom like you even like read or whatever. Like you have to experience it and go through it before you understand it and can continue to interpret it. So in that sense, I can see how until Bren has actually like quote unquote experienced that, whether it's in a dream, to actually like have that kind of empathy because he hasn't acknowledged it before. Do I make sense?
Yeah. I think you make complete sense. But here's the thing, I would agree.
Josh is just laughing because he's just an idiot. Like he's just a moron.
I would agree
crying, laughing.
I would agree with you, Josh. However, this rage that I experienced was like nothing else.
Yeah.
You know when you watch someone you can empathize, you're like, oh, that's horrifying. But you know, you hear stories of like fathers protecting their children against like, I don't know, predators or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, and you hear these stories of these men literally bare hand ripping out the jugulars of some people to protect their young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this primal rage that you could never truly understand. Some fucking part of my brain felt that looking at the scene, and I was shaking with rage in bed last night at 3 o'clock in the morning, shaking with rage watching this scene. Like, I think my brain might be fucked, but I don't know. Like,
you think?
I was shaking with rage.
Here's the animated for it. Animated for it.
Your story is so deep, and I just needed to establish a P corner, and your thing was just about your rage, Dude, your non-existent paternal rage that now apparently exists because of your dreams.
But people say sometimes, why doesn't Johnny talk more during the podcast? Why would I want to take time away from Bren? Dude, like, I don't have anything to say. There's nothing in my head that compares to the incredible element and biology of Bren's frontal lobe. Game over, dude. You win. Like, it's incredible.
Bren,
I love it.
Do you ever think though that like, what if that existed? You know what I mean? What if that is another dimension? What if it is? What if there are different timelines? And what if there actually was someone you had to fight named Guild War? What if you did? What if you did raise one or two? We don't really know child of whatever gender that they might be. Like, dude, that can actually. I genuinely think, and maybe I'm crazy, but I think that dreams are a lens into the world that exists beyond our thought.
I mean, this was so bad.
And even though my last dream that I had was about me shitting my pants, I still believe that there's a timeline out there where I was streaming and I shit my pants. Oh, maybe there's a timeline that exists because that was the last dream that I just had.
I had a dream last night. Like, I hate dreams. I had a dream last night that
hate dreams
because you know me, I come from a fishing village, and I had a dream that I came back to my fishing village in like a decade or so, and because of global warming, it had overflowed with water, and all of the houses I grew up seeing and all the families I knew, their houses had been destroyed by the tide rising with the water. And one of my houses that I grew up in was one of the only ones still standing because it was built on a hill. But I saw all of my childhood friends and childhood families suffering because all their houses were broken and they had nothing left. And I just woke up and it was like a nightmare, dude. It was the worst.
Dark. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we were just talking about, like, you know, fun shit, but we just got all.
I mean, my shit was not fun, TV.
I don't know. I disagree.
My brain is tricking itself into feeling emotions it should not feel until I have a child.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's. Well, no, I actually can't agree with that, because there was this is actually gonna be really somber and dark, but it does talk about how dreams do affect your emotions. I had a dream that when my dog passed away, there was this episode of Wilfred. I don't know if you guys ever seen that show. It's with the kid or the guy, I should say, from Lord of the Rings. What's his name? Frodo. I'm just blanking out on his name.
God damn, I can't remember it either.
Yeah.
What?
No, the guy who played
the guy
Frodo.
Who plays Frodo.
Elijah
Wood.
Elijah Wood. Yeah. He had this show called Wilfred, and it was about this. It was about this. I think it was Wilfred. Is the name of it. I'm gonna see if I can find it. And it was about, like, this dog that he could see in his imagination. But there was this. It was actually a really funny show. You should check it out. It's on. I think it's on Hulu now. And there was this one episode where he had a dog when he was a kid, and, you know, like, he just wanted one more chance to hug his dog, you know. And it was like, and the moment happened, and it was so, like, just beautiful, right? So when so that always stuck with me. And I was living in California at the time. Cynthia was in New York, and our dog passed away. When we were together, but then, you know, I had to go back, and it was a rough time. But I remember seeing that episode, that shit hitting me hard, going to sleep and envisioning it, and envisioning that moment happened for me, where I got to see Buddy again. And dude, it felt so real that when I woke up, and mind you, Buddy had been passed away for a little bit at this point. So I think, you know, like, I mean, we were still grieving. Obviously, we're still really sad because he was a huge part of our life. But, you know, it was, some time had passed, but it was just this feeling like I felt him, you know, like I felt Buddy in my hands. I felt him lick my face. Like, I felt it to just, I can't explain it beyond that. And then I remember waking up still feeling as if I had just held him.
Yeah.
Shit was freaky.
I mean, as much as I mock these scenarios because they are very funny, humans are just a product of their experiences, right? You are nothing other than your memories and what you choose to do based upon them. And so if a dream appears real enough to make you learn or develop from it, or treat it as a real experience, then it's as real as anything else.
Yeah. Now, taking to the comedy side of it, though, for the time where I shit my pants, I genuinely felt like that was happening, and I woke up and my stomach felt a little shitty. It felt like I was ready to go, you know. So maybe Bren's ready to be a dad. There you go, thirst trapping people.
Oh God,
Bren is ready. Who's the girl at the review? Bren is ready.
Oh,
there you go.
No,
he's ready to be a dad.
I'm absolutely not ready to be a dad. But if I was forced to be a dad, I would. It gave me a lot of peace of mind knowing that I would step up to the plate. You know, wouldn't run away.
In your dreams, you would step up.
Yeah,
that's what I'm scared of, because everyone hypes it up. So now my expectations are so high. Like, what if I just get a kid and I'm like, well, fuck this kid. I don't really care.
If you are a basic normal person, you'll be fine.
The chemicals are ridiculous, even from a scientific perspective.
Maybe I'm underestimating the science.
Dude, the chemicals are fucked.
Maybe it's because Mitch is having, you know, a baby, and maybe that's something that triggered in your mind about, and you know, you guys talk often. Like maybe that's the reason why.
I do feel like things you think about before sleep more often than not is like what you're dreaming about. So like the thoughts, like 15 minutes or like half an hour leading up to you going to bed, is the stuff you usually dream about. Like there's some kind of reasons why it's there.
Well,
Maybe
I
I'm
have
wrong,
high
but it
fantasy
feels like
dreams when I read the fantasy novels before bed and take melatonin. I have high fantasy dreams.
You just gotta stop taking melatonin, dude.
Well, I need it to get to sleep sometimes.
But you build resistance to it, right? Like you build
you're not supposed to take it too often, so I don't take it too often, just when I'm struggling to get to sleep.
It's so potent, dude. Like for me, I don't handle melatonin well. Like it doesn't even like help me that well. Like I don't sleep a lot better because of it, but I wake up in a haze and I'm like, it's like I'm hungover for like an hour or two.
Really?
That's a shitty feeling.
Yeah. So I can't really.
Yeah, I don't like.
I like L-theanine though. L-theanine is lit. It's my favorite supplement.
Okay, let's not peddle drugs on the show here. So how long are we in this?
1 hour 10. It's
all right. I want to talk about this topic. This has been a wild episode, and we might. This needs to be in the title for the views.
Okay.
Apparently, Ninja is gonna go to YouTube.
Oh,
that's the hot goss. That is the hot goss as of right now. So apparently, and this happened today, Ninja did a test stream where he did a test YouTube stream. Now, the only reason why maybe you don't put a lot of stock into this. So he did a test stream, and then it wasn't meant to be public, and then they immediately hit it, and then it was, you know, back to normal. But there was also that thing about Ninja updating all of his like Twitch information when the situation occurred. But then Jessica Blevins, Ghosty, she tweeted, "You've all been patient. This week will be fun." So I'm almost certain this has nothing to do with Dr. Disrespect and everything to do with Ninja, given the subject matter.
Okay, but what if, and now my conspiracy brain kicks in. What if he's in the middle of negotiations and the test stream was on purpose to further push Twitch to offer more of a better deal? To be like, yo, you know, I'm testing shit on YouTube. You better step up, you know, better offer. Like, otherwise this shit about to turn real.
I think that he is not going to Twitch, no matter what. And I always felt like him going to YouTube was more of a like, that made more sense given how he departed from Twitch. Like, he was very vocal about his disdain for the way Twitch handled a lot of things. Then also the fact that his YouTube still continues to grow like exponentially.
Yeah.
So
Fortnite's still huge on YouTube.
Well, I remember when I did the Fortnite Pro-Am, I was like, you know, just walking around and stuff as I do at events, and obviously no one like gave a flying rat's ass who I was, because, you know, who the hell cares about me? They cared about Lupo and Courage and Ninja and everyone else. But, you know, like some of the other people that were there, you know, I'd come up to me or whatever, and like the parents and stuff, and we'd chat. And when I would talk to the kids, they would all say like, who's your favorite? Ninja. Oh, I love his YouTube videos. And I was like, oh, you don't watch him on Twitch? And he's like, no, I only ever seen him on YouTube. Kids genuinely only see Ninja as a YouTuber. They don't think that they don't know about his streaming stuff. Which was why like him moving to Mixer wasn't like really a big deal, because his YouTube stuff was still going to pop off big time. So I actually do think that him going to YouTube is kind of like a foregone conclusion. It makes a lot of sense. Whereas like Shroud, I think Shroud needs to be on Twitch.
I don't know.
Shroud needs to be on Twitch. I mean, Shroud's YouTube is pretty big. He's like one of the only YouTubers as well with Valorant.
His audience though, like, is very Twitch centric. You know, it's like,
I just feel like YouTube drops the better bag, and I think that's, you know.
Yeah,
I think YouTube is more inclined to spend more money than Twitch is.
Yeah.
So if you want to get the bag, then YouTube is probably the way to go.
Do we think YouTube will be an even bigger player in live streaming? Because now they're making moves. Like, they signed PewDiePie, which obviously was a big deal. because PewDiePie like took the bag for this D-Live thing and then bounced from that. You know, they got Courage and Valkyrie, and I think they signed like one other person. Like, are they? I'm just wondering, like, since losing Nick 30, like, are they taking this more seriously and starting to actually sign more talent?
It's just about infrastructure, discoverability to me. Like, we've been talking about this for years, it feels like now. And it just feels stagnant in some kind of way. Like, you want to see, like, the platform updates, and you want to see YouTube Gaming invest in, like, public service announcements on like how they're putting effort into it and how they're improving stuff, but like we never get that. We just get like rumors about like streamers signing, where it's like, oh hey, my content is over here now. But it's like, okay, well, where is the realization that you actually need to like update your platform to stay competitive and bring in features that viewers actually want? And I feel like we're not really getting that, and I think that provides to this like negative kind of, you know, philosophy, in a lack of a better word, like surrounding the platform. Like, because people's perception of YouTube as a streaming platform is not improving, because we're not really seeing or getting what we want. And as a result of that, it just feels kind of stagnant, where I'm like, I don't really care, you know, until you actually put effort into it. Then
yeah, you know. I mean, what was the classic number? The reason that they've talked about not putting as much time into it in the past is because 83% of their viewership comes from VODs on YouTube, and it makes up an enormous amount. But that makes, but also, yeah, I think you have to, if you flip that around a little bit, you think, okay, so 17% of our viewership comes from live content, and it's an area that we think is going to grow. And if you think it's going to grow faster than your VOD content, which I think could be a reasonable idea if you want to invest very heavily into signing new people on, if you think that that's going to grow, then you should probably think, all right, well, if we want to make this a fifth of our product, 20% of our product, if we want to try and grow it 3%, then shouldn't we be allocating like 20% of our marketing, our space, our like space on front page and stuff like that? Not in a literal sense, but at least in a discoverability sense. Like, it is way harder, more than 4 times harder in order to find live content on YouTube than it is to find VOD content. So I think if they actually think that it's an area that has the potential to grow faster than VOD content does, then they should invest in the marketing side of it. If not, though, then I mean, whatever, they're doing outrageous business with VOD stuff, aren't they? So,
which is why I think the Ninja thing is interesting, because you're not like, see, PewDiePie for the live streaming and stuff like that, like, you know, I mean, it was kind of like a foregone conclusion. He's always going to just do really well on YouTube regardless. I think this was just like a way to just additionally have PewDiePie continue to remain a part of the YouTube ecosystem. Whereas Ninja like left Twitch because he wanted to go help and build stuff with Mixer. Then Mixer kind of just stopped doing shit. And meanwhile, like, YouTube is in a position to actually start building like products for YouTube Live. Whether or not they start doing that, you know, that's going to be it's going to be a whole different thing altogether. But I do think that there is a justification on him signing there, if like they're telling him, you know, if you're your boy Fwiz and you're just like, yo, we're building all these new products.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, no, hell yeah, I want to help lead the charge on a lot of this stuff. Like, I actually think it makes sense, because that was his justification previously with Mixer. Besides, you know, the absurd amount of money, I know that he also kind of just wanted to help lead a platform, which Twitch never really would have allowed him to do that, right? Because there were so many other creators on the platform that were of, I don't want to say equal size, but they were definitely like up there, you know. It's hard, but it's interesting.
I have an update to the plane statistics.
Oh, dear God.
Okay.
To end the podcast, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm down.
So the 95% survival rate is when a plane suffers substantial damage, or when someone suffers serious injury or death. That's what's considered an accident, and it has a 95% survival rate.
Okay.
Wait, so damage or an incident?
Substantial damage.
What is I mean, I still don't really know what substantial damage is, but
you know what is about to make substantial damage? My fucking bladder.
that must be like if the rudder falls off.
If shit just dies, I guess.
Why are we talking about this? Oh, I'm just glad I don't have to take any airplanes for like a long ass time. I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah, don't worry.
This episode was
don't worry, GB, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I hate you guys. It's why you do that.
This was so much fun.
All right, well that's it. I tried to talk about gaming topics. Clearly, what the thing that drove the conversation is Dreams, Ant Wars, and God knows what the hell we talked about.
The title of this episode could be Bren is a father. Just
Bren is a father. Or Bren thinks he's a father. We'll find out. He could be a father. I don't know. There were some crazy stories in Denver. But that is basically going to do it for us here for the Foreheads Podcast. Make sure you give us a like, rate, review on Apple Podcasts. You can like here on Facebook. Or sorry, Facebook. YouTube. I don't know if things.
You've leaked our next streaming move.
Yeah, no, you guys, we're going to Facebook gaming. We're not.
We're getting the suck treatment.
Yeah, the suck treatment. Yeah, so there you go. For all the thirst trappers out there, may your thirstiness continue to be quenched, plentiful. I don't know what any of that meant, but I figured that would be a good way to close it out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next week. Bye.